Yes. Hello there, folks. I'm here 1 minute early. 1 minute early. That's me. I'm just kidding. Well, I am not kidding. Anyway.
You are a minute early.
I'm a minute early. Anyways, today is Sunday. So Sunday, where I have a hot. Because we don't get colds in Arizona.
It's
Sorry.
too hot to get a cold, so you have a hot.
I'm sick. I don't know how I keep always getting sick. Obviously, I know how. Actually, even Scott says it. It's because you have a weak immune system. Well, yeah, that's true. So I feel like crud and probably sound like it too. And I'm trying to pretend everything is okay. But in reality, I just want to sleep all day. But I got awakened earlier because I took a nap. I take naps every day. And today I was taking a nap, and all of a sudden it went from the sky, and it was so loud, and it woke me. And I was sleeping so good because I was so tired. A monsoon decided to roll through, and, obviously during monsoons, I go outside because it rains, which is like the only time of year that it does rain. So I was outside, and then like the wind was blowing one way, and then I heard the rain get harder and went outside again, and it went the other way. It's crazy how monsoons work out there. But the thunder, it was so loud, and yeah. But that's okay, because it woke me enough to come in here and hang out with you guys today. So let's
say hi to everybody.
Let's see who's here. Whoa, that went fast.
Don't break that board.
I wasn't trying to drop it. I have a hot, so everything feels like it's going to fall out of my hands. Sandra, Grace, Brenda, Danelle, Polly, Linda, Robin, Beverly, Margaret, Nancy, Jacqueline, Missy, Roni, Lupina, Susan, Andrea, Penny, Melody, Paula, Mary, Candy, Donna, Geraldine, and so many, many, many more. And if you guys are new to my channel, the people that are in the blue with a wrench next to it, those are my moderators, as well as Scott's in the chat. So if you have questions, don't forget to ask them or, tag me and Scott will see it. So we're still working on the saga of the Lella Boutique Social Butterfly pattern. It's like a saga. The saga of the butterfly, right? Because we're still working on this. And it's taken a while, but that's only because I'm breaking it up into videos and I'm not working on it on the side, which is what sometimes I do. But we're still working on this pattern, so if you type in explanation pattern, it should give you a link to it. I'm pretty sure there's plenty available because it's a PDF download and or a purchasable, but most people just download. So anyway, we're still working on this, but we're on the last steps. So we literally are on step 17 of hooking this piece to this piece to this piece to that piece to that piece, and then putting the border around each one of them. So that's pretty much all there is to do, is start chain sewing all this together. And then I'll chain sew this on, and then chain sew these together, and then put the pieces together. It should go pretty quick. Yeah. So I'm just going to sew on my Juki TL2010Q because people always ask when I'm here. So that's what I use, is a TL2010Q. And I'm going to go ahead, and Scott put a link in for it. I'm going to go ahead now and just stick my pieces right sides together and start chain piecing it all, the whole thing together, with a 1/4-inch seam. And it would be nice to have a different stitch length, because when I'm in here making other things, I change it. So I'm just making sure my pieces are nice. There's one seam to nest right where the triangle or flying geese part of this matches with the one seam right there. So I'm just making sure that they're going in opposite directions, which is kind of hard to do because they were pressed whatever way they were pressed, but I will just hold it and hope for the best.
YouTube must updated, changed something. The numbers now roll like speedometer. How many people watching, and your thumbs up.
YouTube changed it and its speedometer rolls, huh? Interesting. Well, YouTube is forever changing, so
I know.
get used to it. It's always going to be something different. So I have only 9 blocks I'm making, so each time I chain piece, it's going to be 9 times of this, and then 9 times with that, 9 times with that, and then so on and so forth. So literally chain piecing is all I'm doing to get this whole thing put together. And then obviously after this part is done, I'll start putting the blocks together. I was actually thinking when I was setting up the everything to come live, because I do have to, I set these things aside so that way I can do other things in here during the week. And I set everything aside and I was picking it up, putting it up here, and I was thinking to myself, I did want to make this quilt a little bit bigger. So I was kind of thinking the way that the blocks go together, since they're going together piece to piece, you know, if you look on the last page 9, you know, they go together piece to piece. I was kind of thinking, what would it look like if I just put sashing between each block, and that same sashing is my border fabric anyway? And I wonder how much bigger it would make it and how different it would look, because, you know, I wanted to make it bigger. So I'm kind of toying around with the idea in my head of making it bigger by adding sashing between the blocks by using my border fabric. Huh? My foot? Oh, my ankle, it's still healing.
Oh, I didn't think of that when you dropped the ruler.
Yeah, when I dropped the ruler, so was it last week? It was last week. Not this one that just passed, but the week before, right? Or was it during this last week?
When you were making something else.
I was making something else on live stream, and a ruler, for those that didn't see it, a ruler fell on my ankle and took a big chunk of skin off my ankle. Well, now it itches and it's healing, but yeah, rulers are sharp. Beware. The most challenging quilt I've ever sewn is the Mariner Star Compass quilt. Huh? Yep. It's one of my award-winning quilts, but it was also one of my most challenging quilts. It was 6 months in the making, and the pattern was wrong, and it drove me nuts. And I did make a video series of it, but let's just say it was a very challenging experience. And it was one of the reasons why I don't follow books and patterns very often, because that stuff drives me nuts when it's wrong. What?
And now that you finished it, it's even won an award.
Yeah, it's won awards, yes. Ribbons. I do want to make that quilt again in purples. I was actually messaging someone on email that had asked about that. And I was like, yeah, I've been wanting to make it again in the purples, but I have to, you know, go through the headache of everything being wrong. So I have to remember what I did right. Because I don't remember if I wrote it down. I know I said it in the videos, but I don't know if I wrote it down. I probably did, though. I'd have to find all my stuff on it. This is actually going pretty quick. And if I sniffle or cough, I'm very sorry. I did try to put the microphone down a little so that it wouldn't be annoying. But I cannot control my runny nose.
you made a Baltimore album quilt?
A what?
Baltimore album quilt.
No, I have not made a Baltimore album quilt. I don't know what that is. I would have to look it up. Can I have my tissue bag right over there, please?
Move this closer. I don't walk around it.
Just reach behind it. I'm going to leave it over here instead of moving.
You can see the whole desk here, honey.
That's fine. Thank you. Sorry, guys. I need to tissue myself. Or it's just going to run down my face. I don't know how people get colds in the summer. Like, if they call it a cold for a reason, right? Does that mean it's supposed to be in the winter? But no, I get them in the summertime. And that's why I called it a hot, because it's a summertime thing for me. All right, so I'm just stacking them up, and I'm going to chain piece the next pieces, and then so on and so forth until all the blocks are put together. In the pattern, it tells you to put the two sides on first before putting the F piece in the middle. So that's pretty much what I'm going to do, because I have to turn these ones around anyway to sew with the smaller unit on the top. Actually, I'm just going to put it on my, no, I'm not going to put it on my lap. I'm going to put one side over here and one side over here. There we go. That should be good. Oh. I was watching YouTube shorts before coming on live, and that dumb "I'm a Barbie Girl" song is stuck in my head because it's on all the YouTube shorts.
Because the movie just came out.
Yeah, since the movie just came out, but I have not seen the movie, and I probably won't see it. And yeah.
Quit sewing a quilt because you decided you didn't like how it was turning out?
Did I ever quit sewing a quilt because I decided I didn't like it? No. Not because I didn't like it. I have quit sewing a quilt, as in I started a ton of quilts, and they're called UFOs, and they're sitting on a shelf right there. And that's just because I never got back to it. And it wasn't because I didn't like it. It's probably because I lost interest in it. So I guess you could lose interest in it instead of being mad at it or didn't like it. I know lots of people that have quit, making a quilt because they just didn't like it at all. So I know it happens. I know a few that just don't finish them because they came out ugly. They're like, ew, no way. I don't want to give this to anybody. And I know some that just, lost interest at the time.
You picked out a ton of quilting on the long arm because you didn't like your design.
Oh, yeah, I've picked out long arm stitching because I didn't like it. But that's the only thing I've ever not liked and done.
Because that was a lot of picking. A whole lot of picking.
What? What's so funny?
One lady said, I
have what?
One lady said, I have a quilt I hate if I go to hell.
That's funny.
One lady just threw one away because she thought it was ugly. That's terrible. Don't throw it away.
Don't throw it away, yeah. Here's a recommendation for those that don't like a quilt because they don't think it's turning out right or something's wrong with it. Just putting this out there. Chop it up into smaller pieces, even if it's already pieced together, and chop it up into smaller usable squares, and then put those squares together all funky, and you'll have a funky scrappy quilt. And then it will be like a collage of weirdness, and then you're not throwing anything away. It might even look really cool, depending on what you started with. I've not done it yet, but, you know, that's because I don't have a problem with the things that I'm making, but it's just an idea, throwing it out there. I have a jelly roll race that's ugly. The fabrics are ugly, hanging in the closet. But I didn't stop putting it together just because the fabrics are ugly. They just have big jewels on them, and I'm not a fan of it. But anyway, so I haven't quilted it yet, and I actually have designated it to be my blindfold quilting quilt. So when I finally do my blindfolded quilting video, that's the quilt I'm doing it on.
Interesting. Oh, I definitely.
Because I can't ruin it any more than it already is ugly, you know. I probably make it better with my blindfolded quilting. And if you don't know what blindfolded quilting is, just go into my videos. I did a video while I was healing from carpal tunnel surgery, blindfolded and left-handed. And I was able to quilt the designs that Scott told me to quilt. We made a chart of the different designs so that he could tell me which one to quilt next while I was blindfolded. And I was able to do it. So I'm kind of curious how if I could do it all normal-handed, right-handed, on a whole entire quilt. All right, so now I'm just gonna flip these around. I do need an iron, Mr. Scooty.
You ready?
Yep. Oh. I'm gonna get boogers everywhere. You guys want some of my boogers today?
Oh, yeah.
This is the booger butterfly quilt.
Are you using this thing?
Yeah. Stay.
You could let me iron for you.
I could let you iron for me, but it'll warm me up because I have a cold.
Well, last week you were saying it was hot in here, and I was the one ironing. Now you're cold.
What side is the actual? I think it's this side.
I
have a little wool ironing mat now that's big, so I've been using it, and it doesn't have a smell because it came from someone else who's been using it for a long time, so the smell is gone from it if it did have a smell in the first place. But I have noticed, and this is why I put wool in my ironing board the last time I covered my ironing board, I have noticed that everything that I've been pressing with the wool has been flatter than beforehand, but it doesn't help that my actual ironing board, everything was flat originally, but everything has been smushed down in it so long and used so much that I think that's why everything isn't as flat.
How long were you not able to sew after your carpal tunnel?
After my carpal tunnel, I didn't sew for what, like a month?
I don't remember.
I had my whole wrist and everything was numb for like a whole month. Oh, this is why I put it this way, because I flipped all those seams the other way. I don't even know which piece what am I on the top of that side?
Supposedly your cutting mat can still work even with the wool over it.
Well, my cutting mat is really screwed up anyway, so I guess that part doesn't matter in my world right now.
It's your new one, isn't it?
No, it's already ruined. It is one of the new ones, yes, but it's already ruined. And I'm not actually putting steam, so that should hopefully not be as bad. What am I on this pile? Trying to do it quickly, like. The blocks are bigger than my little wool mat here.
Is your cordless iron not working?
My cordless iron is working. It's buried right now.
You have the actual ironing mat thing. Do you want the mat?
What ironing mat?
The little ironing, the little white thing.
Oh, under here?
With that?
No, I don't need any extra ironing stuff. I'm just gonna work with what I have going on here already.
You're saying that can ruin your cutting thing there, huh?
Says the same bubble. Here, we'll put it on a second one. There we go. We'll have double the mat.
Was that bubble always there?
Yeah. Yep, that bubble came in the first 2 weeks of having this brand new cutting mat. But that was over a year ago now, Scotty. It's only 9 blocks. So there's 18 pieces to press back. And I'm pressing them towards the bigger section. So this whole piece that I just sewed on, the skinnier 2.5 inch piece, is going to the bigger section. That way that flying geese seam stays flat. I really hope these look good because so far it's hard to tell with some of these colors.
They're liking the colors. You're
Next to each other.
About the colors. They're liking
I'm not
colors.
picky, but I just meant the contrast. I should have paid attention to the contrast before I started sewing.
Hey, the country butterflies are going to look good. They're going to look like country butterflies.
Yep.
It's going to be good, honey.
Yep. It's going to be a country social butterfly quilt.
I guarantee.
Some of my butterflies are wearing jeans. That's what it looks like. I'm just finger pressing the seam to the side that I want it on, and then top pressing. Two more of this direction. They're laying pretty darn flat though, and that's what we want. All right, one more. Yeah, that's like the contrast in this block right here, you can barely see the 2 to 3 different colors of the wings because it's all the browns. I should have paid attention to that. So when you're making yours and you're following videos 1 and 2, before you start everything, I would say put the colors in the 1, 2, 3 order that you want them in first, because that way they land with more contrast. Like this butterfly right here doesn't have very much contrast between the sides, so definitely want to pay attention to that. All right, so that's the bottom. Let's put this towards the top because everything was in order. Just restacking them back in the order that I have everything. Okay, those are done. Let's work on these ones. Keep them in order by working on the bottom first. Hopefully you guys all had a good weekend. I started realizing I was getting sick on Friday, and then by yesterday I really felt sick, and then today I was sick. So my weekend's been, kind of just lazy. But that's okay. So I really didn't do much. I did organize some fabric in here for the other room, and I cleaned up my fabric room a little bit. Obviously, I didn't move the mattress because it's kind of where it is for now. But I got some things cleaned up and put away in there. My what? I have no idea. Excuse me.
Hey, Teresa said maybe it's your therapy exposed you to something.
It probably did. Scott told me that same exact thing, Teresa.
You don't leave the house any other time.
I don't go anywhere, and I was only going to physical therapy, so yeah, he thinks that physical therapy is how I got sick. Because the only other place I go is to swim at my friend's house, and she's not sick, so.
You haven't been there this week.
And I haven't been there this week swimming.
I was physical therapy this week, but you haven't been to our house swimming.
I was gonna swim yesterday, and then I just felt too bad to go over and swim, so I just decided to lay down in bed. Iron caught the end there. I sure do love butterflies. They're so pretty.
Plus, we don't get too many around here, so it's really cool.
Get too many what? Oh, butterflies, yes.
It's cool when we see one. We don't get too many.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of foliage for butterflies around here, so we don't really see them. So it's really nice when they come around. Oops. So now I just need to hook these two sides to the middle of the butterfly, and then put the borders around them, and then sew them together into rows. But like I said, I'm still contemplating this whole sashing idea to make the quilt a little bit bigger. Because it's supposed to be 75 by 75, but that to me is like lap size still, even though it'll fit on a full-size bed. But I kind of want to go just a little bit bigger. Just a little, not much. I think it will look nice. All right, so all pressed. So now all we need to do.
Tell Teresa I don't know what butterfly bush is, so I probably.
Scott says he doesn't know what a butterfly bush is, so probably.
It's too hot here for butterfly bushes.
Oh.
Probably, because I don't know what that is.
All right, so now the F unit is supposed to go between the two, and then that's how the butterfly goes together. So I'm going to go ahead now and just attach these all to the one side, press them back towards the F, and then put the other side on. So I'm just going to grab and sew.
Wouldn't adding a border make it bigger?
Yeah, the border is going to make it bigger too, but I wanted to put sashing between the blocks so that it's not all just white. There are no seams to match here. It's just a straight. Long seam. My sewing is either off or the pattern is, because these pieces are bigger than they need to be. But it didn't say anything about trimming down anything, so I'm not 100% sure why they're bigger. I have a consistent whatever seam, so.
Oh, whatever. I like it. Whatever.
I'm pretty sure it's 1/4 inch, but. They're all hanging over about a 1/4 inch on every single one of these.
Do you have a fabric in mind yet for the sashing?
Yeah, my border fabric is what I was thinking about using as the sashing. Yep, every single one of these is a 1/4 inch bigger. So the pattern's off, or my cutting was off, because the 1/4 inch seam looks pretty good to me. Excuse me.
Have you ever made a Civil War reproduction quilt?
I have made Civil War reproduction quilts,
Yeah.
and I have made them in Civil War prints, and I made them in non-Civil War prints.
Wasn't the one you made for Mom that they use on their bed?
Yep. Theirs wasn't reproduction, though. Theirs were the real, 1930s fabrics and 1940s.
Well, that wasn't Civil War. It was 1860.
No. But their fabrics are Civil War reproductions then. They're just flour sack fabrics.
But either way, it was fabric that was.
Reproduction
Antique.
fabric. Yes, antique. I did a whole series, the 4-star general. It was a sew along with my friend T over at T Quilts. But I did the whole series of videos of the 4-star general sew along, and that is a reproduction sew along, the pattern. But I used modern prints. What? Yeah, it's always been there.
Do you want me to iron for you now?
Nope, I got it.
It would be quicker if I did. Okay.
All right. I'm just going to press these back real quick and then literally just rolling them back. They're laying really nice. Like I said, they're a 1/4 inch bigger, but I balanced it between the top and the bottom to make it, I guess, less noticeable. It's going to hide in my seam no matter what I do. Because I'm not trimming it away. Really lazy about that sometimes, not trimming something away. And I'll line up my other piece to the other pieces. So if it's sticking over like this, I'll line my next piece up to all this, and it'll cross over this, leaving more than a 1/4 inch of a seam behind there. But guess what? Who's going to know? Because it gets quilted into the quilt. And nobody's ever going to see it because who's tearing my quilts apart? Nobody.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. But yeah, I leave it there.
You've made a ton
Unless
of
it's more than a 1/4 inch sticking away, because I really don't need like 1/2 inch of seam back there. But this is not, because I balanced it between the top and the bottom, so it has like 1/8 of an inch.
You have a ton of quilts now out in the world. Who knows what they're doing?
Yeah, I do that. I do have a ton of quilts out there in this world. And literally, when I say world, because they have gone all over the world.
Don't you want to South Africa?
Yep. I have them everywhere.
How wide is your long arm?
My long arm wide.
Yeah, does that mean the throat space?
The
18 inches?
I have an 18-inch throat space long arm on a 12-foot frame. The frame is 12 foot wide, long. By the width between the front and back is like almost, it's like 3.5, 4 feet. It's not super huge, but I know other long arms, other companies, theirs are a little bit wider, and then there's some that are a little bit skinnier. My last one was skinnier. My last frame. All right, now to hook these to the other side. And then all my blocks will be ready for the border that goes around each block. So I'm just going to line these up, right sides together, and sew them on. Everything's lining up where it's supposed to. Like I said, some of the seams are sticking out, but my piece is lining up with the previous side. So I know that I have it level. You guys are going to be able to see finished butterfly blocks very shortly. We'll see which ones have more contrast than the others, because some of these, like I said, are the contrast on them. It's not very high. This one's nice. I can tell that on this one. Looks good.
When you make everything you sew look so easy to do.
It is easy to do. That's one of my most comments. I make it look easy. It is easy. You just have to practice at it and find your rhythm, and you can get it every single time. No, this is a for purchase pattern. Sometimes I do patterns that you have to buy. Sometimes I find free ones to do. It's not very often that I do patterns on my page, so this one is a for purchase pattern. Okay, this piece is not happy.
Why?
It's shifted. It's a shifted piece. So I'm just gotta rip it real quick. Oh my goodness, come on. Sometimes that happens. Don't get frustrated. Just rip it out and start over. Trying to be careful because there's seams and I don't want to mess those up. Go the whole way. And yes, I do throw my thread on the floor because it gets vacuumed up.
Every Saturday, vacuum day.
Yeah. All right, let's try that again. Right here. Try now to shift it in a nice and flat. That went better.
Have you ever made a quilt with top and bottom sashing wider than the side sashing?
Top and bottom sashing wider than the side? No. Usually I do equal on the sashing. But no one says that you can't. I wouldn't know because I've never done it and I don't think I've even seen it. I can visualize it in my head though. All right, one more and then I'll press them and we'll put the cream around them all.
What color is the border?
My border is brown and cream. So the border for this quilt is this, and that's why I figured I would do this as sashing too, if you want to hold that up. It's one of the colors in the blocks.
Of course. You have the camera too close.
So that I was thinking of putting a sashing between the blocks. All right, so I'm just going to press these, and then we'll add the O and P pieces.
And it'll be a good sash.
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm going to just go ahead and do it because, like I said, it's only going to add a couple inches to the pattern, but I like the idea of it being bigger. All right, so there's one butterfly.
Do they have to stay in order, or can I hold them up?
You can hold them up. They don't have.
Since you're not letting me do anything.
They don't have to stay in order.
I'm gonna hold them up. Their top is the bottom. Yeah, this is the top.
Yeah.
Hold them up right.
There's another.
You're throwing it on the floor.
I'm just throwing them. Where they land is.
They're saying purdy. Purdy, purdy, purdy.
So I'm going to show you this so that you guys can see. Right here on this bottom, you see how that's bigger, but these two sides are equal. It's because, like I said, that centerpiece was longer. I'm leaving that there. It's no big deal. I'm not cutting it away. Because it's just getting another border around it anyway, and then sashing and all that. So, yeah, nobody's going to take my quilt apart. Obviously, you guys all know it's there now, but nobody's going to take my quilt apart to see that those sides are longer.
They're saying so pretty.
Have you come across the ones that are low contrast?
Low contrast? What are you talking about? They're beautiful.
We'll see when the whole thing is put together.
You just mad because you don't like my colors. I like my colors.
I like
my
the
country
colors.
butterflies.
I'm saying that they needed more contrast on some. So
They look
pay attention
good.
to that.
They look good.
Never said it wasn't going to be a beautiful quilt. And one more, and then we'll add all the sides and stuff. These are pretty big blocks, so that's why there's only 9 of them.
What piecing foot do you use?
I just used the 1/4-inch foot.
Quarter inch that comes with the Chuki,
the one
or
that
the full regular 1/4 inch?
the
scant 1/4 inch that comes with the Chuki, or the full regular?
No, I don't have the other one attached on here. The one that has the side plate, the adjustable foot one for doing binding and all sorts of other things. No, I don't have that one hooked on here, but that one is a 1/4-inch foot. I have just the basic foot on here.
So whichever one that is.
Yeah, the basic one that comes with it, yes. All right, now let's put the P and O, or O then P. Which side does it have hooking on? O's are on the side. So just gonna grab all the O's and start attaching them to the sides. And then P will go on afterwards. We're really gonna put P on our blocks. Grody, just kidding. I know, I'm silly. All right, so I'm just going to attach one of these to each side of all these blocks. Again, I'm just going to chain piece all of this through. And it fits like a glove. There we go. And I did not pin nothing on my project. Gotta make sure. Oh, I was doing it upside down. Some of these are upside down, some are right side up, as long as I'm putting it on the sides. Hold it on this end as if it was a pin. Oh, okay. It isn't out of thread. It sounded like it was out of bobbin, but it couldn't because I put a fresh bobbin in before I started sewing.
Running through it.
No, it is out of bobbin. Okay, so we used a whole bobbin already? That's kind of strange. Oh, it's stuck. That's why it pulled. No, it's like, okay. Yeah, there you go. There's a tangle.
I will fix it.
All right. Oh, I have one up here.
Oh, it is tangled good. I'll get it.
I knew it yanked. I thought it was kind of weird that it yanked like it did. I get tangles in the bobbins on the long arm. It's very rare to get a bobbin tangle on the Juki.
That's all the thread you had left, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was done either way.
Yeah. I'm just lining them up and sewing them on. Any questions while we're working? I feel like it's kind of quiet.
Is this the quilt made from your belly?
No, this quilt is made from fat quarter bundle. This is a fat quarter bundle quilt. took 18-piece fat quarter bundle. It was 9 lights and 9 darks. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead now and snip these and then just turn them around and sew the other side on. And then we'll press both sides and put them tops and bottoms on. You know, it's only 9 blocks, but they're really long seams.
What's the finished size? 74 by 74 something?
The finished size is 75 by 75. One quilt block is 22 inches. But since I like bigger, I wanted to add the sashing because I like bigger quilts. I guess what it is I like making bed quilts. I like making a usable quilt that you put on your bed and it looks pretty, you know? Nothing wrong with lap quilts, but you know, you can have too many lap quilts. You can't have too many bed quilts. The lap quilts just get piled in a cupboard or hung on a ladder and nobody really gets to see them, or they're stacked on the back of the couch. The bed quilts, on the other hand, you can put them all on the bed. Pull one down and you have another beautiful one right underneath.
You got to have some cold winters, though.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be really cold.
You can't have one on half the year.
Yeah. Yeah, I swap out during the 5 months of the year that I can have a quilt on the bed. I swap them out quite often. And in the first part of the summer, I actually do use the quilt on the bed. But once it hits June, July, nope, no more quilts. And I have quilts for the different seasons too, for the heat purposes, because they get too hot.
Making up your new song for every season, there's a quilt, huh?
Yep. There's a quilt for every season. Yeah, these really long seams make it feel like you're sewing forever.
Why sew the side instead of the block and row of blocks?
Well, right now I'm finishing the block. And they want you to connect all the whites together. And that's why I want to put sashing between it, because then it wouldn't be just a plain white touching a plain white next to each other. That's why I wanted to put sashing in between them. That way they're not just a big chunk of white with a seam running down the center of it.
Do you put anything in a summer quilt?
Yeah, I put cotton batting in my thinner quilt, the 1/8 inch, really thin cotton batting. I don't like, nothing against it, and for those that do it, but I honestly don't like the feel of just a quilt top with a sheet, because then you feel all the seams in between it. And the quilting, when you go to quilt them, they don't really quilt. It's just like stitches. You don't get no definition or anything to it. So I kind of don't like the look of it. I think it looks weird and feels weird. And like I said, nothing against people that don't want to have batting in their quilts, you know, and have a summer quilt. But I personally think they look way better and feel way better when it has batting.
Making a t-shirt memory quilt, going to Arkansas. What type of batting do you suggest for
cotton. A thin cotton for the warm climates. You can try bamboo. I've been told that bamboo is actually good for warm climates as well. So that is also an option. I have not put bamboo in any of the quilts that I've done. So I've done little quilts, and I used scraps of bamboo from other people who have given me scraps, but that was for small projects. So I wouldn't be able to tell you if it's warm or cool or how that is, because I've only had scraps from leftovers from the long arm.
What's the purpose of making a quilt without batting?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at. Quilts without batting. I don't know. I think it feels weird, but a lot of people like them for summer quilts. In the summertime where I live, though, you just use a sheet. So, can I have the iron?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, a sheet on its own is plenty. We don't need...
We don't use any blankets in the summertime here. Unless you're sleeping under the air conditioning vent, which is only in one room of the house, and that's the living room. The rest of them are kind of, all the air conditioning vents are away from the beds. So I'll just stack it right there. I'm just pressing these back real quick. Huh? No, this is the part of the block. This is what makes the butterfly float. Nope. I mean, if you want to call this the sashing, but it's not.
Well, no, I answered the question.
Yeah.
They figured it out on their own.
Yeah, this is part of the block. Because it has you in the pattern, just putting, sorry, the sickness is making it more scratchy. It has you in the pattern, just putting the blocks right next to each other, which is why I feel that I want sashing between my blocks. Because all it is just white touching white. I mean, if it would have been different, I don't know. It just seems to me it needs more. And it needs to be bigger. Main thing needs to be bigger.
Is this pattern considered beginner friendly?
This is probably more of a second level quilter, a little bit more intermediate, but it's not hard. It doesn't say, some patterns say if they are. It goes together easily though, but I would assume that all the parts and pieces can be turned backwards and moved around accidentally. So for a beginner, it might be a little confusing, but you could always give it a try.
What about using a flannel sheet instead of batting for a lightweight quilt?
You could do a lightweight quilt with a flannel sheet, yeah. I think that would feel a little bit better. Or just having minky on the back or something, you know, instead of putting batting. I've done that now in a quilt before, where I took a quilt top and minky and put them right sides together, sewed all the way around, and then flipped it out and top stitched around it. I've done that before. for baby quilts for a few of my friends. But it's more like it comes out like a receiving blanket than it does a quilt.
It says on the website that this is intermediate.
Intermediate? Well, I would think a confident beginner can do it. Someone that's done it like 2 or 3 quilts with half square triangles in them, I would say that. If you've done a couple quilts that have half square triangles or snowballed corners, this you can do.
What was the name of the fat quarter bundle?
It was called, hold on, he's trying to figure out what the fat quarter bundle was called. It was called Favorite Things by Jerry Robinson for Planted Seed Designs for Rooster Fabrics or something like that.
I had this last week and you took it.
All right, now to add the last and final piece, which is P on top and bottom, and then the blocks will be complete, and then all we'll have to do is cut some sashing, because I'm going to go ahead and go with sashing, but you don't have to. I'm going to go ahead and do sashing though, and then put the blocks together into rows. And
do you have a video of that, the Minky?
I think I do. I'm pretty sure I do. I have over 1,000 videos, guys. So asking me what video and when I did something is really kind of hard. I used to remember in the beginning, but I don't remember as the time has gone by. Wow, this piece definitely is not the same. These will have to get trimmed down. So I'm going to break thread and do the opposite side. My blocks aren't exactly 22 inches because that's the size this is. And it's hanging over. They are smaller. Here, you can start pressing these when both sides are on.
Oh, now I can iron?
Yeah, you can go ahead and do it. That way it gets it done. While I'm sewing these really long seams.
Just ironing the sides?
Yeah, you're just, yep, just ironing them out.
Yeehaw!
You hear him? He gets so happy to iron.
No, hell.
It's nothing to do with ironing. He's just happy to help.
Nothing to do with ironing. Helping the wife. Well, I put the big beast when it's done.
Huh?
Well, I put the big beast when it's done.
Just stack them right here on the floor for now. I just want to show you guys. See how that lined up right there? So I lined up my sashing piece, or not sashing, but the block piece with the 2 sides of the block and not this piece. So it sticks over. It's going to be hidden in the seam. So it's not even going to be seeable. If it bothers you, if you have that anytime, just take a pair of scissors and cut along the edge to get rid of it like that. But just so that you know, on some of these blocks, that piece stuck out because the center was longer. So again, it was probably my piecing. It could have been the pattern being off. Either way, everything fit nicely and it's sewn on there. Yet I didn't get the tops and bottoms yet. That one is now.
Yeah, I was going to say, that one didn't need no iron. ironing stuff's already done.
I'll mess them up when I toss them to you. How about that? That way you know
Mess
which
'em
one
up.
needs to
Oh.
be ironed.
Big were the blocks? 22?
22 inches. At least they're supposed to be 22 inches. Because that's what it says on the pattern. And that is no secret. I'm not giving away numbers by telling you that because it literally says it on the back. Finished block, 22 inches.
Is this one ready?
Yep, if it's messed up, then it's ready. If it's not, then it's not. You know what would look even cooler is if I had a really big ruler to make, once these are pressed out, to kind of put a ruler on here wonky and kind of have them just a little bit sideways. Ooh, that would be so cool. But I don't have a ruler that big. Well, I do. You would have to use your cutting mat to get that come square that way, but that would look cool. I like when you can change a pattern because the outside is really easy to be able to do that, like the way the borders come around it or whatever, or the openness of a block. They look cool. I'm looking on the floor at the blocks. Come on, right there. There we go. I just need one piece.
You're remembering when you filmed the thunderstorms.
Oh, yeah. I could have filmed it today, but it wasn't a very long one, and I didn't catch it from the beginning because, like I said, it woke me from my sleep. It woke me from my lovely nap. Plus, I'm sick, so it probably wouldn't have been a good idea to be out in directly under the rain. That probably would have made me sicker. So it's a good thing. Did what? I wasn't actually filming that one. I was just talking on the phone that time on the roof during the storm.
That was a storm there.
Yeah, that was the tornado warning storm, remember? He's had to yell at me to get down from the roof during tornado warnings. Because I love being out in the storm. You know, I used to go out and just swim in the pool during the storm. Thunder, lightning, rain, and I'd be out in the pool. Does that make me crazy? Maybe to some of you, but that's just what I like to do. And it wasn't because I'm dangerous or anything. I'm safe. You know, I splash around more so the lightning don't get me. I haven't been struck by lightning yet. Huh?
We didn't film the hot air balloon festival.
Yeah, I didn't film the hot air balloon festival this last year. I didn't film the fireworks for 4th of July. I haven't been doing some of those videos anymore. Honestly, it's because they don't get watched, so I don't film them anymore.
Plus the hot air balloon.
And the hot air balloon. Yeah, the hot air balloon festival only has one good day where the balloons can go up. It's usually windy. 90% of the whole, festival. So it's really hard to film them when they don't go up because of the wind. And that's every year. I don't know why they don't move it to a different month when it's not super windy. But pretty much every festival in this town is filled with wind. All right, there's one more block for you to press. I'm going to move this out of the way momentarily because what I need to do is trim these equal so you can see that every single one of these is sticking over by 1/4 of an inch because the block is not the size that it says, at least not for me. So let's see how it says it is. 22, and that's me counting from not on the marking. So it would have been 22.5 and finish at 22 like the pattern says, but my blocks came out 22 inches. So that means they're going to finish at 21.5. Oh, on my chair. Because there is 1/4 an inch of this sticking out on the sides. And yeah, so I'm going to get rid of that real quick on all the blocks. And then I'm going to cut some sashing and we're going to put all these together and create a lovely, beautiful quilt. So I'm just going to trim all these off. And then we'll cut some sashing. This side lined up miraculously. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's the same size as all the rest. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Like I said, it could just be my 1/4 inch seam. but everything's the same as long as you make all the blocks the same in the end. And with this border around every block, it hides any imperfections anyway, so, which is a good thing. So I'm just going to trim all these and we're going to cut some fabric. And then we'll sew it all together. Should go pretty quick, hopefully, once that sashing is on. Wow, that one's sticking over a lot. That one's more than a half an inch. Huh. Oh, well, we're going to make it work. Why? Because I can. Oops. I grabbed two, not one. And I should have plenty of fabric to make sashing.
One lady loves your idea of making them.
Yeah, wouldn't that look cool? Because then it would make them look like they're floating, you know? So you would just take and trim, say from, about an inch up, and then just a nice straight line to about 2 inches in, or a 1/4 inch away from that edge, and then use that as your straight line, do 2 sides and make a corner, and have yourself a big, huge, large, wonky block so that the butterflies kind of like, move side to side and have a little bit of movement. I think that would look cool. I mean, the sky's the limit. It's your quilt. You can do whatever you want with it once all these pieces are around it. I mean, you can add... No, I'm just going to put sashing, no cornerstones.
But you could.
But I could. I just want it to just kind of float, so I'm not going to use cornerstones. Just going to do sashing. All right, so let's cut. I'm going to go with 2.5 inch strips. So we're going to try to do this without math. We're going to cut this nice and straight. I need the 20. I can get 2 pieces. If this is 44 wide fabric, I can get 2 per. So we're going to go with 2.5 inch. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So I need 1, 2, 3. I need 4 strips just in case. For this direction. 1. Talking to myself, by the way, guys. 2. 3. And 4. And then I should be able to just cut them in half. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Just barely cutting the selvage off. And I should have the width of each block. I'm going to flip these so that I can see the selvage because I'm really cutting it close with my block size. Yeah. On the normal, you would only get 1 if your fabric is not wide enough. We're going to pretend mine is. And we're going to do what I always do and really tightly cut things. Oops. Straighten that back up. Straighten that back up. That way I get... No, it's fine. Just lining up. So I'll slightly have a tiny, tiny bit of my selvage in my piece. Right there. And then we're going to cut this end, all these folds off, instead of splitting it. So that should give me 1, all my pieces that I need. You guys would have to measure your blocks and measure your fabric to do yours if you're going to add sashing. I'm not really going to lay this quilt out, so I'm going to add sashing between. Oh, no, it's not. Why is it the size this way? It's not. Well, I'm just going to hook them all together then. Okay, so I did that wrong.
Well, you have plenty of this. You can cut more.
Yeah, I do want straight strips. I'll just use this for something else. Give me a second. We're going to cut this again. And we're just going to use one per. Like I said, I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 6 strips. Okay, here we go. We're going to do this one more time. I have plenty of fabric here, so those I'll just use towards the sashing for across it. 1. We're going to cut 6 2.5-inch strips. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, I'm not cutting these ones in half, but we're going to use those other ones still. I'm just going to cut the selvage off and then sew them to some blocks, just 6 blocks. And then we'll trim off the end to size I need it to be. How about that? And then that will work better. And one more. And then we'll use what's left over to hook to the other pieces for the other direction of the sashing. And since this is a check fabric, that actually will make it even better because you can line check fabric up. And you'll never know there's a seam. Okay. So 6 of these are going to get a sashing in between the butterflies on the sides. So make sure that my butterfly is in the correct direction.
Would it work with cornerstone?
It would work, yes, with cornerstones. I'm not going to do those, though. Bless you. So I'm making it the size of my block by trimming it to size right here. All right, so there's one.
You know which butterflies you're putting in each row?
No, I do not know which butterflies that I'm putting in each row. I'm just going to pick through, and this one's going to go next. So I'm just adding this next to it, literally sewing them together. I'm making the rows as we do this, by the way. That way it goes quicker. This end up. All right, and then I'm going to open it and add another one of these on this side. Oh, am I out? Or is that just yanking? Nope. Out of bobbin already. Let's grab another one. That was quick. So it's 3 blocks across by 3 blocks down. So after I put this sashing on here, I'll add 1 more block, but not a piece of sashing. Go up there. So the block that I add, I'm going to try not to make it be the same as these. I'm just going to go through and say, I don't want that one. We're going to grab this one. So this one's going to go next to it. I'm going to make sure that the top of the butterfly is where it's supposed to be. Yeah.
So your quilting machine.
I'm just a quickly get it done quilter is what I really am. I don't pay attention to making things perfect. I know you guys say you see it when I'm sewing if I have the camera up close, but I really am not going for perfection. So if seams don't nest up, that's, you know, oops, because it happens. All right, so here's 1 row so far with the sashing in between it. Just like that.
That's awesome.
I think I like it with the sashing.
I do too.
Yep, so let's have Scott press these.
Do you have an idea for the quilt?
Will you press these this way? See how it's going towards the sashing? Just press it towards the
Do you have an
sashing.
idea for what you're going to quilt on?
I have no idea what I'm going to quilt on it. Nope, no idea. All right, so the next row I'm going to start with this one. We're going to put a nice big sashing piece again down it. And then we'll add the next piece and then the next piece, you know. That's how it's going. Yeah, I'm going for finished over perfection when it comes to the quilts. The only time I really pay attention is when I'm doing something I know I'm entering into a show. Then I really, you know, I really try to pay attention to detail. But 90% of the time, I could care less. And, you know, most of the people that see my quilts could care less either. They're like, oh my God, that's just beautiful, you know. So my family, my friends, nobody complains.
They're not.
They wouldn't, most don't even know what to look for anyway, so it really doesn't matter. All right, so here's 1. Just gonna give it a quick finger press just so that it's finger press. I'm pressing towards the sashing, by the way, because that is the darker of the 2 fabrics. All right, then I'm gonna put this block, making sure the top is the top. Come on. There it is. Couldn't grab it. The fan was blowing it. Are you modeling my butterfly row? Oh, I felt it touch my head. That's why. Just lay it right there on the floor. All right, so then I'm going to open it up and grab another sashing piece. My really long piece. I'm just trimming it to size once it's on here. I am back stitching at the start of each seam. I tend to do that on sashings and borders with long, this is a long piece, so I tend to do that with the longer ones or heavier blocks, if that makes any sense. All right, now I'm going to grab another block. Just finger press this for now. Let's go with this one with the light blue. Right sides together. I have no idea how they're really going to look when they're laid out, once it's all together.
They will look good.
They're all lining up perfectly. So they were all pretty good, except for that end piece from the P unit.
Would this pattern work with a layer cake?
No, it wouldn't work with a layer cake. I don't think so. Not unless you have like 4 of each layer cake piece. And even then, one of the units I think is longer than 10 inches. All right, here's more for you to press. Again, just press towards the sashing. You know?
It's really hard.
All right, so now I'm going to put the final row together. I'm just going to grab these and put them over here next to me. So I only need the 2 more. All right, that's the big side. Yep. This goes up here at the top. Folding it on top of itself. Cutting out the edge. All right. That over there. I'm not really adding much to the size of this quilt. All right, what's that middle one? Oh, it's browns. I did it again. All right, right sides together, line it up, and sew it. Take a drink of water. Line up my end, hold it. Alright. Just a tiny dab. I'm finger pressing it right now. Alright, last sashing for the sides, you know, for block to block. And then we'll make the sashing for row to row. Yes, it's going to get the same border as the sashing. The sashing is going to be the final border. The sashing color, the size that the border said it was going to be, that's what I'm going to do, but it's going to be in the sashing color. So it's just going to be a big border with sashing, so meeting up to it. All right, final block. Because you have to rub it down more.
I've been rubbing it.
Oh.
Have you not seen?
Put some water on it at the bottom right there from the spray thing. I just use the spray bottle. Some water.
Grease into it, my love.
press this towards the sashing. And then we'll hand it to Scott to iron.
So look at it. I'm still working here. Is this one okay also?
No, you need to iron it to dry it, or else it's going to stain with the iron stuff on it. That iron splat.
Stuff?
Yeah, the
What?
iron. Nope. The stuff that comes out the bottom of the iron actually stains white fabrics.
Oh,
You know,
well,
like,
I
you know
know
how we
that.
get that stuff in our washing machine?
Well, here you come. What am I supposed to do?
You wet it.
It's everywhere on it. I didn't think it mattered. That's why I was letting it
No, it does matter.
come off on it.
Nope. See, it'll start turning it dark brown.
It's not dry. That's why it looks like that. Once it dries, it shouldn't.
Nope. Whatever comes out from the inside of the iron is a brown color. So it stains all of the white fabric. Sorry, guys. I'm just drying the fabric with the iron. I'll just run the iron over it. That's why this ironing board is so stained, because that's what it does. It stains it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just doing that. Why did you do that over the board itself? You just ruined all the stuff I cleaned. Goofy. I gotta clean it again now. Look at that. I made it worse.
Okay, that's row 2. Watch out. Let's get this row 3 started.
It's filthy. Use a different iron.
All right, I'm going to sew these end-to-end pieces. So all these cutoffs and all these pieces are now going to get sewn end to end, and then this will be the center sashing that goes between the rows. So I need like 4 of them. So 1, 2.
Okay, is that fine? It's not coming off.
It's the iron is trash, is what it is. It's a trashy iron.
Yeah, I know. So is that good?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be.
Okay. I know it's a junky iron.
So 4, and then we're gonna do 2 and
The only replacement
4.
we have week. Okay, what's the other one that I have to iron now? This one?
Yes. All right. Now I'm gonna sew them together. The long pieces, and that should be the length. Should be. Or the width, I should say, of the quilt, of the rows. So there's 1. And then here's number 2. The fan is on high too, so it's kind of blowing my pieces around, if you haven't noticed. So I only need 2 long strips. So I'm going to grab row 1 right here, and I'm going to make sure, just put it on the floor right there where you're standing. That's fine. We're going to make sure it's going on the bottom of this. And this should be the right length. It is, with plenty to spare, because I'm trimming off everything as I go. So look at that. I was able to use the pieces that I cut away. All right, so I'm going to back stitch. I'm just going to sew it on. All right, once I get to my end, I'm just going to fold it on top of itself, line up the end, and then trim it to the size that the block ends at. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to press this back real quick and then add the next piece. Just trying to do it real quickly, like.
Which way do you iron your seams on the sashing?
I'm pressing it towards the sashing. I'm ironing it towards the sashing because my sashing is a darker color.
If you buy the pattern, do you get anything from it?
What do you mean if you buy the pattern, do you get anything from it? I have no idea what that honestly means. You get to make a quilt from it, and you get joy and happiness of making said quilt. All right, so let's line up the next row, which is this one. We're going to make sure that my butterflies are in the correct direction. This is the top part of the butterfly. That's the bottom part. So I'm going to put it right sides together. And now I'm going to sew from one side all the way down to the other. And you can see that they're the same size. Look at that. I'm not even matching that centerpiece because I'm pretty sure it's going to line up just nice. And if it doesn't, oh well, why? I'm not paying attention. I'm just doing what I do best, and that's sewing and creating beautiful quilts, whether they're exactly perfect or not. But most people, if you want to pin, then pin. I'm not doing that. But I could just fold it back and go, oh, look, that's about where the other one is. Just trying to keep it straight and flat the whole way across. And keep it from stretching. That's the main goal, is to not have any stretching or pulling.
Oh, so do we get, if she buys the pattern from our link, do we get any?
Oh, yeah. It's a little help towards our channel if you buy the pattern. Yep, it's one of my affiliate links. Or at least it should be. And hold it nice and flat. And sew a 1/4 inch seam, not an 1/8 of an inch seam. When I'm not paying attention, I end up veering away from my 1/4 inch seam guide. All right, so these two are now together. And this, oh, that's really off. That one looks good. This one does not. Look at that, Scotty. That's way off. I don't like it like
Way
that.
off from what?
This is supposed to be a straight line right here. Like, that just looks sloppy.
And
That's my fault. So I'm
what do we
going
do?
to unpick it about a hand in front and a hand behind that, and then try to straighten it out a little.
Okay.
See, that's where pinning does, good. So I get stuck ripping to make it nice, but it's not nice, so I'm going to
Just tell them I ironed it wrong.
pluck it out.
How many borders are you going to pull?
I'm just going to put one border, and that's what the sashing fabric is. Just one. This is a double seam, by the way, because I started veering into like 1/8 of an inch of a seam. There we go, right there. Hand away. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and re-straighten that up to land right there. And I'll even put a pin in it so that it stays right where I want it.
Now she's pinning.
Just one pin, though. I'm not going to go overboard with it. Start stitching right there. I'm going to hold it at my pin because that's where I want it to be. I want it to land right there. It's because there's a seam between the two pieces. So that's why it didn't line up perfectly. There we go. Let's see how that looks now. Oh, much better. See, so it's now straight across. See, I like that better. It wasn't. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and press this real quick. I'm going to put this next row right there.
You can't be plugged in for 2 hours straight. I don't like it. It needs to be turned off.
I'm just pressing it towards the sashing. My ironing board has stuff on it, so everything is kind of just not super flat being laid out like normal because I've been working in here. All right, so there's 2 on there. Now I'm going to put my next row of sashing, which is not that. Where'd I put it? I threw it on the floor. Like, all right, so now this sashing is going to go on here. And then we'll put the other side on, and then all we have to do is add border, which is the same as the sashing. And when we put the other side on, I'll match those up before sewing. That way I don't have to worry about picking or ripping or anything between the two. No, I'm just going to get up to iron. Okay, a little bit more, fold it up. I'm going to go press this back real quick. Just takes a second. All right, we're going to make sure that we line up the next row. So this is the top of the butterfly as to my left and the bottom of the butterfly to my right. So let's make sure we're doing this correctly. Top of the butterfly to the left, bottom of the butterfly to the right. We're going to go right sides together. And we're going to line it up and we're going to put some pins in it. We're going to pin it. Be nice if it can lay straight, but that's not always feasible in some sewing areas. I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to fold it back and say, oh, that's where it needs to be. Grab my pins, not the cleaner. Throw some pins in it. I'm going to put 2 pins, one on each side. Lift it up and go, hey, that lines up. Yay. That's where I want it. Match up the end. Throw a pin in it. No sense in only having the pins at the seam, I guess. I know, it's like something happened and a light bulb switched on and Tiffy started using pins on a Sew Sunday. Wow, it's a miracle. I'm just messing. All right, so we're going to do this again.
Lightning struck, huh?
Lightning struck. Yeah, there we go. Lightning struck and Tiffy found her pins and how to use them properly. All right, I'm going to make sure. And there's no sense in pinning the bottom because really don't need to pin the bottom. If I poke myself, I'm blaming all of you. Just kidding.
You want me to stand over you and say pull pin, like you did with me in the clip?
No, you don't need to do that.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Oh, it was very exciting when you did to me.
And I think my thread broke. Yep. See, I pin, and what happens? I don't have thread in the needle. Go figure.
It's always something.
Yeah. It's because I ran all this next to the sewing machine, which pulled the thread out of the needle. All right, here we go. Let's sew. There's a pin. Let's pull it out. And holding at the next pin. Sewing up to them and pulling them out. But at least this one I won't have to rip.
Is this the last row?
Yep, this is the last row, and then I'm just gonna cut some border, toss that on real quick, and bam, this quilt will be finished. Stay down, seam. All right, I'm gonna press that, and then we'll add the whatchamacallit, the border.
Are you tired of working on this quilt top?
Yep, today's the last day for this quilt top. That's why I'm just doing it until it's done. Yep. Yep. I said I'd do it till it's done. Usually I don't take 3 videos to make a quilt, you know. I try to do it in one, but, you know. Lately, I'm spreading it out because I can't keep starting more and more projects. I have way too many to long arm quilt, and then my client quilts also come first before my own, so I have those to do as well. So, and that's where the long arm gets tied up, and then I never get to doing my stuff, and then I make more quilts than I can afford to back and finish. Don't want the seam that way. All right, so far, with sashing, it looks fabulous because I like the sashing. And looks like they lined up nicely, lined up nicely, lined up nicely. Look at that. So now, borders. It says for the pattern, it's putting 5-inch borders from the original pattern. So we're gonna just go with that, 5-inch borders. So I needed, how many originally? Because I added some. We're going to do our own math for this. It's going to be perfectly square, so I only need to measure one side. So 1, 2. I need 2 pieces for each side. So I need, there's 4 sides, so I need 8 5-inch strips. And then we're just going to hook them together in 2s and then attach them on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. It stayed 5. The ruler moved on me. Okay, it stayed 5. Look, I have plenty of fabric left over. All right, so every 2 I'm going to hook together, but first I'm going to chop the selvage off of it. I'm just going to grab the 2 middle pieces because those are right sides together, sew them on through.
Did you already attach the bottom row of sashing?
Doesn't need a bottom row of sashing. It has just sashing within the quilt.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep, so there's no bottom row. The bottom and top and 2 sides of the quilt now are just border fabric. Take these 2 middles, hook them together. Next 2 middles, hook them together, and then we're just going to start sewing on the borders and then press them back and the quilt will be done. That's the simplest part, is the borders. Well, when you do straight borders. All right, last 2. All right, so here's 4 borders. Just going to go ahead and do one side at a time. We're going to
help you hold it up and we can show the whole thing.
Yep. So I'm going to start with the sides. I always do the sides first when it comes to borders and then do the top and bottom. I like my seam to finish on the sides, not the top and bottom. Yeah. And we want the weight of the quilt onto the table. I'm just going to put this right sides together and sew on down. And let's hope that there's enough bobbin to go all the way around. No.
Everyone's loving it. You're doing really good.
I just hold and sew. I don't really pin my borders. I've not had a problem, and you can ask Scott the same thing. I have not had a problem with waving borders on my long arm. Like when I do my own borders on my quilts, I don't get wave borders or anything from not measuring accurately. I don't have a problem with like wonkiness or anything. So because I don't stretch or tug when I'm sewing it, I just let the machine sew it as it sews. So I say do what works for you. If you want to measure the 3 sides of the, the quilt, top, middle, and bottom, side, middle, and side. If you want to measure those distances and choose a border size that's equal of the same from those 3 numbers, then do that. But since I didn't lay anything out, I'm not really going to get an accurate number. Your most accurate number is laying it out to measure. So. And I'm not doing that. I just lay it on top and let the machine do the work. And I do cut it to size because obviously my first 2 pieces are going to be way bigger than they need to be. Just fold it on top of itself. I line it up and I trim it off. And I've not had a problem doing that either because it's like trimming it to size. The machine sews it on. I'm not stretching or tugging to make it work. If it was like a 1/4 inch shy or something. All right, that side's done. Just gonna toss that over here, turn it to the other side. Grab another one of these borders because they're all the same size. And attach it on. That way my sides are on first. I think this is going to look wonderful.
One person said your Juki got a good workout today.
Yep.
Juki's working out hard.
Yep, the Juki is getting a workout today. So am I, though. I'm going to go ahead and press these real quick and then put the top and bottom. I'm just pressing it towards the what's this word again?
The border.
The border. Thank you.
How often do you change your needle?
I change my needle when it stops sewing nicely.
Not very often.
Not very often. I'm really lazy about that. I use the titanium needles though, the Oregon titaniums, so they last pretty long time. So I would say once every 4 quilts, maybe 5 quilts, it gets changed. So that's not bad. That's every couple months. Because this quilt obviously has taken me 3 weeks to make. Will you pull it towards you?
Okay.
Oh, we're making it wonky, Scotty.
I'm just pulling. I'm sorry.
That's fine. All right, now to add the top and the bottom, which should be the size we need it to be, because see how long extra I had here? More than 10 inches. As long as it was 10 inches more than the original size, then that's the size it needs to be. And it is, because I had 5-inch border.
There you go.
I had plenty of pieces cut. I'll just throw one on the ground. I only need one at the moment. Can only sew one at a time. All right, so I'm going to sew this side on, which is the top now, and then the bottom, and the whole quilt top will be done.
Where do we buy the titanium needles? I forgot.
I had Becca got them for me last time from Checker, from her, whatchamacallit, what is it called?
I didn't actually buy it.
No, you didn't buy this last round. Becca got them for me.
So where do I buy the ones More than them. Because I know I bought you needles. I just forgot where I bought them.
We bought them from Superior Threads last time.
Okay. I thought it was like eBay or Amazon.
No. Okay, and we are out a bobbin yet again. Or it's not out of bobbin and it tangled.
Possible. I'll get her.
It tangled again. What is up with that today?
I will undo it.
That is a first. It has thread still on it, but it's tangled up on there. So,
There's a lot that's there compared to the other one that was tangled.
well, the thread that I've been using in the bobbin is my Missouri Star thread. So I don't know. It's never tangled before. Not with this new machine either. So I don't know. I'm trying to use up some of these almost finished spools though. I don't know why I have, you know, not very much thread on some spools.
Oh,
I
no,
need
there
to
wasn't much. It's just that
finish them
it
off.
looked like it was a lot. But no, it's just at the end. It's doing it at the end of the bowl. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know why it's doing that. It's probably not even the brand. It's probably just the way the brand winds on the bobbin. Because I've not had this problem before. Not on this Juki, nor my other Juki. Like I said, it's mainly my long arm, which is high-speed winding. This isn't even half what the long arm winder winds the bobbins. Sewing so much, everything's falling off the desk, off the machine. All right, coming up to the end. And it's hanging over plenty. So I had plenty of fabric. I'm gonna fold it up onto itself, cut it to the size it needs to be. Grab this whole thing, turn it around, and do the other side. And then I will have a complete quilt. Whoop, whoop. Any questions or anything that you can't, anything that you can't answer that you need?
Ask now before you're done. I told him if I missed a question earlier, re-ask
I sell my quilts on Etsy, word of mouth. I give them to family and friends. Yes, I sell.
We even do yard sales.
I even have yard sales, but nobody has ever bought. No, actually, one quilt has sold at a yard sale. The yard sale price, the price I want for a quilt is not a yard sale price. By no means. Try to keep this nice and flat real quick.
Have you decided what decals you want on the Juki?
No, I have not.
I thought you want skulls on that one and dragons
I
on
want
that
skulls. Yeah, skulls on the Juki that I'm sewing on right now, and I want to put dragons on my other one because I call that one my dragon. And I don't have any, I don't think they sell stickers of the other husband. So, unless I put a picture of stickers of celebrities that I like on my long arm, because I call my long arm my other husband. That's been its name since the beginning. That's the only machine that ever had a name besides me calling that little brother machine a Pinto all the time.
How can we see what you still have available?
What I have for sale is on Etsy.
Well, you only have 3 of them on there.
Yeah, there's only 3 on
there.
there.
You're supposed to be doing a de-stash this month.
Yeah, I need to do a de-stash this month.
One person already
But
asked that.
you guys are going to have to wait because this is not fully, I don't have enough yet.
Oh, you have plenty.
Don't do that.
Oh.
Just leave it.
I was trying to keep it open. Oh,
It's not going to fall. All right, almost finished press. I'm not going to repress this whole quilt, guys, because it's gotten kind of wrinkled since I been grabbing it and pulling it and tugging on it. And I'm also not going to pick all these threads out of the seams right now. There's a bunch of threads sticking out of a lot of these seams. That I do when I go to long arm quilts. But before I completely hold it up, I can give you a measurement. Scotty, can you grab the ruler? I'm going to assume it's the same top and bottom, so I'm only going to measure one side. So it's 80.5 inches by 80.5 inches. You can unplug the iron now. Click on the link that is coming up in the chat. That is being posted in the chat for Etsy. Next, and it'll take you out of the video straight to the Etsy. All right, Scotty, let's hold this thing up. There's that side. Here's this side. 80.5 inches. 80.5 inches.
That's 80.5 by 80.5.
Okay, come down a little bit so they can see the top.
It's upside down.
Is it upside down? Oh, it is upside down.
Yeah. I know my butterflies.
Yep, they were upside down. All right, now they're right side up. So you get to see the bottom and the top. I like it with the border being the same as the sashing. I think that really separated it. That way the blocks weren't just white touching white. I really like this better with the sashing between them. All right, let it fold down and hold at the bottom half. That way the right side up.
See what you're doing. Like this?
Yeah, so there's the bottom half, and you can see how the bottom border comes up to it. So those are my country butterflies.
Is that what it's going to be called?
Yep, country butterflies is the name of this quilt because it totally goes with it perfectly.
That's my idea. So you're actually going with my name?
Yep, the name
Whoa.
Scotty chose for the quilt is what the name of the quilt will be. Country butterflies.
You could probably come up with something.
Nah, it's good. I like it. So I'm going to just put it up here. You can see by changing colors, if you did this in rainbow colors, it would look so much better. Even by the pattern itself, changing it to blues instead of pinks and mauves with blue. I like it with the browns and the blues. But changing the pattern itself and putting the sashing, which is the same as my border fabric, definitely added more interest to it, I think. It just looks so plain without on these pictures. I just didn't like it with all the seam touching the seam. I like separating it. So yeah, there it is. That's the Social Butterfly pattern by Lella Boutique. You can find it by typing explanation pattern during the live stream only. Those codes during the live streams don't work after the live stream. If you type it in the comment section, it won't work. So there it is, guys. Finished it in 3 weeks of Sew Sunday videos. So 2 for, how many hours have I been on? 2? 2.5. So 6.5 hours of work, and you can make a quilt like this. Yeah, I went over last week.
So say 7 hours total.
Yeah, 7 hours, and you can have a quilt like this. So that's not bad. All right. Any questions before I get off of here? Because I've gone over my normal 2 hours. No? If not, I'm going to go ahead and just get off of here and get to back into bed, because that's where I felt the best today, is sitting in bed watching Home Improvement with Scott. Because we're watching all the old Home Improvement episodes because they're on Disney. So we're watching those. Gives us something to do. It's like a nostalgia thing. All right. Well, since there's nothing, I'm going to go. Thank you guys all for hanging out. Have a wonderful week this week, and I will see you guys next Sunday if I don't do a video during the week. So I'll see you guys next Sunday with a whole new project.
Tell them your flag was
July 3rd of 2022 is when that video was made for this flag quilt right here, for those that are curious.
Yep.
So
go watch the video.
You can go watch the video. It was done on July 3rd, 2022. And then you just type July 3rd, 2022, Tiffany's Quilting Life, and that video will pop up. So thanks for hanging out. I'll see you next week. Bye. 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 Bye.
Good night.